Okay, today's presentation is the second in a series, and I have to apologize, my gardener just showed up. So if you hear any background noise, it'll be stopping shortly when I turn it over to Anabel. This is the second in a series of virtual presentations by our partners at HHSA, Aging and Independent Services, that we will be hosting over the next few months. Stay tuned to our upcoming newsletters, the network newsletter and email blast for more information on the upcoming virtual presentations, how to register, how to access. All that fun stuff will be included in our notifications about it. I want to thank AIS Partnership, the great partnership we have with them and the opportunity to spread the word about the excellent programs and services that they offer. We're pleased to be hosting today's presentation, an overview of AIS community programs, resources, Community Programs and Resources Project CARE, and Project CARE stands for Community Action Reaching the Elderly. Anabel Kuykendall, who I've mentioned already, she graduated from Sdsu with a degree in psychology, has extensive case management experience, and has worked at non-profit organizations. She joined the County of San Diego in 2000. Part of that, she's part of the Health and Community Engagement team, specifically working in outreach and education, and is the coordinator of the South County Action Network. Her presentation, Living Well and Ways to Engage, is an overview of the 8 dimensions of well-being and the prevention of isolation and loneliness. The presentation is going to cover the Live Well San Diego vision for a healthy, safe, and thriving residence, and the AARP age-friendly domains of livable communities. Healthy lifestyles activities are also encouraged. And Anabel, I want to thank you once again for all the preparation and the planning and the partnership. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mark. Hopefully you could hear me okay. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and share my screen so I could pull up my PowerPoint. So just bear with me. And then if someone could just give me a quick, yes, I could see your screen after I pull it up, and I'm going to put it on full view mode in a second. Okay, if someone can say you could see it, okay, let me know.
I could see it, I can see you, and it looks great.
Perfect. Thank you so much again, Mark, and thank you so much for inviting me today to do the presentation today. I know my colleague Matthew presented last month, and I know my other colleague Hazel will be presenting as well next month probably, or May. But basically, we are just really honored to be a part of the educational series with RESDC. We are outreach and education team, and before the pandemic, we usually do this type of presentations in person, but now we have switched to the world of virtual presentations. So we are glad that we are able to still provide this to many of you. And maybe someday I will be joining and be a part of RESDC, because I'm still working, and I know I could be a member now, but I am very, very glad to see everyone today that can join us. And we are delighted that we could provide you some additional information and resources. As Mark mentioned to you, I did provide a lot of resources, and they will be sharing that to everyone, posting it in the website. And our job is, if you can't come to us, we come to you, and we want to make sure that we could provide you a lot of the resources and information that you may or may not be aware of. So today's topic will focus on living well. It's a series of slides, and I combined it with what we put together as Living Well, that is basically part of what came out of our Age Well San Diego, our County of San Diego's vision of Live Well San Diego. And then we also wanted to tie it in with all the different programs that and resources and handouts we have created during the course of time. So if you could just bear with me with all the slides, and I will be highlighting certain programs, and then we will just move forward with the rest of the presentation, and then we will do figure out how to go ahead and answer all the questions at the end. So let me go ahead and move on to the next slide. And as I mentioned to you, LiveWell San Diego is the county's vision of how all of our communities throughout San Diego County, and as you know, we are a huge county. We have 6 regions: North Coastal, North Inland, East Region, Central, and North Central regions, and then South Region. So we want to make sure that there's 3 major components that of our communities throughout the county, where we want to promote building better health, live safely, and that we have thriving communities. If you want to know more about our county's vision, livewellsd.org is the main website. You could check it out, and then there's a lot of wonderful resources in there as well. And just to start off the presentation, we wanted to provide you a general concept meaning of wellness. And I'm not going to read it because you could see it. And I did provide a copy of this presentation in PDF format, so it will be posted as well. And Mark and Andrew will share it with all the members who want a copy of it. And so this is just our way of letting you know what is wellness. Everyone has different definition of certain words, but in general, we just wanted to capture a few words and some meaningful information on what really is wellness to us. And we always want to promote, you know, positive and affirming description of wellness. This is very important to all of us. And given that before the pandemic, we already are trying to promote wellness and how we can age well in all the communities that we live, and how we want to encourage everyone to just really make sure we focus on being healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So we want everyone to know that we are here and we're providing educational trainings that promote healthy wellness and well-being. And now with the pandemic, and we've gone over a year, and it is very challenging for sure for all of us. And we know that this pandemic has really taught us how to be more patient, and that we need to just stay vigilant, and we want to make sure that we are following all the safety protocols, because we want to protect ourselves and our loved ones and the rest of the people in our community, because we will get through it. We're hoping that we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're still trying to get through it. So we want to make sure that we know that we're resilient, we will get through it, but we just have to be a little bit more patient. And with that said, we wanted to give you some data just to give an idea of how important of how we should stay, take care of ourselves and our loved ones and our community, how we could stay, live well, always make sure that we're taking care of ourselves so we could take care of the folks that we also love and need. A lot of us are caregivers in many ways. Some of us by choice, some of us, we do it because we're family. And also in my line of work, I also chose social service because I wanted to serve the public. And the gratification I get is basically helping people. And I've been with the county I'm going on my 21 years with Aging Independent Services. So I really enjoy working with our older adult population, people with disabilities, and all our wonderful professionals and volunteers out there focusing on the needs of our population that we serve. This particular slide is not to give you the whole concept of doom and gloom. We just want to give you an idea that some of the statistics we're sharing with you, because this is the reality of some of the data that we have in the county. And as I mentioned to you, maybe you're familiar, when we provide data, we can't get you the most current data because the data is always a little bit more behind. So for example, the orange part of the slide, you can see that there's 98,610 San Diegans living with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementias. And this is based on 2020. And we already know this is a huge focus in our county and all over the world that we were trying to make sure we get a cure for Alzheimer's. And a lot of us, whether we're dealing with it on a personal level, professional level, I myself have gone through a lot of this because I do have family members that are been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and other dementias. So this is something very personal to me. But we can get through it knowing that we have services and wonderful organizations out there that can help and provide us additional services. And the other two is just to give you an idea, like the leading cause of death among older adults 65 and over was heart disease, followed by cancer. And then you factor in Alzheimer's and other dementias, and then the pandemic, you could just imagine how much more challenging with all of the different things that we're dealing with as we get older. But not to say that just because we're getting older that we will get this type of diseases. Many of us, and this is the one thing I want to emphasize, many of us will age and grow older and will be able to do well. And unfortunately, there will be a certain percentage of grouping of people that will suffer or will have chronic conditions and may be taking a lot more medications. But the importance of living well is making sure that we are in tune and taking care of our overall well-being so we can go ahead and prevent from getting certain diseases or being diagnosed with chronic conditions and taking so much medications. So we just want you to get a pretty good picture of what some of our older adults are dealing with, but it doesn't mean all of us will be in the same numbers or part of the data. And just to give you an idea of our older adult population in San Diego County, you already know that we have a lot of a huge older adult population here. We do have a wonderful sunny state. We pay for the sunshine tax dollars, right? We have a lot of retirees, we have a lot of veterans here, and a lot of people would love to move here, like to move here because of our weather. And although we do know there's a lot of additional challenges too with being in a wonderful state with nice sunny weather, but it's also very expensive. So we will also talk about having affordable services, affordable housing, for example, as we move along with this presentation. But you can see how the trend of the 65 and up population, and then you factor in dementia and Alzheimer's disease. But we are hoping with all the advancement and all the collaboration and partnership we're working with the different medical fields, organizations, that we can find a cure with Alzheimer's. And as Mark mentioned in the intro, that I wanted to also focus on our 8 domains of livability. This is according to the partnership with World Health Organization and AARP. And these are the 8 domains of livability, and we will go over them, each and every single one of them, and then we'll tie them in towards the end of the presentation of additional services and programs that we are offering throughout the county. These are basically the most key important domains throughout the entire world that they find very important. No matter what state, what country, what community you're living, these are the main 8 domains that are important in order for us to have age-friendly communities. And just to let you know, a lot of our folks are definitely on board with age-friendly communities. We have many cities that are really trying to make sure that they become age-friendly. For example, where I live, Chula Vista, we are an age-friendly community. I know National City, for example, now is the next one to go on board to become age-friendly city, community. So we are very excited that this concept is, welcomed by many counties, many communities, because this is something that we as a community need to have in order for us to age well. And so we're just going to go over some of the domains one by one, and this is fairly easy. We wanted to give you some visuals, and the first one is outdoor spaces and buildings. As we know, we rely heavily on a lot of outdoor spaces right now, but of course, during the start of the pandemic and until now, we have certain restrictions. We need to make sure we are practicing physical, social distancing, and following all the protocols, wearing our mask, making sure we're washing our hands, and staying 6 feet, avoiding crowd. But as we have the spring now in season and it's going to get warmer, we just want to make sure we take advantage of our beautiful county and all the places we could go outdoors. And now that we are on the red tier, we finally got out of the purple tier. Restrictions are some restrictions are lifted, and now we are able to enjoy more outdoor spaces. A lot of places like the zoo, theme parks are opening with limited capacity, but our beaches, our parks, we're able to go ahead and get out and make sure that we can access all these places, and as well as buildings. It's important for us when we go to many different types of areas that we have accessibility, that we have wide paths. We have make sure that people with wheelchair and assistive devices have enough space to get by, to get in and out, because it's important that everyone can enjoy our outdoor spaces. And with transportation, this is always a huge one. Transportation and housing, as you could just imagine, are always going to be on the top concerns as well as needs for many people. And public transportation is always around. It's needed, right? Not everyone has a car, or if they do, they might prefer public transportation because maybe right now, as you know, gas prices are high and it's expensive. And if some people would prefer public transportation, then that is their choice. But there are many different ways we could use public transportation. We have the trolley, we have the train, we could use the bus, taxi, there's all kinds of different services now like Uber, Lyft. And then we also want to highlight at this point that our Age Well San Diego theme, we have specific teams working on some of the major domains of age-friendly communities, and our transportation theme actually came up with the Ridewell transportation guide. And this is one of the resources that I provided and shared with Mark and Andrew. So this will be uploaded and will be available in the website. And we wanted to capture all the different types of transportation throughout the county. We highlighted all the services that are available. So we want to make it easier for everyone to know what type of transportation service is available, where they live, or other parts of the county, because they may have other family members or friends that are in another part of the county, and they could also say, hey, did you know that this particular service is available in your area? So it's the Ridewell transportation guide. And you will also have access and can get a copy of this as well. The next one is respect and social inclusion. Some of the pictures we're using are stock pictures, but if you would look at the two bottom pictures, you will see that there's an older adult with a young elementary school age kid. He's in 3rd grade. And then you see the nice activity they're doing with a huge rainbow umbrella. This one is actually one of our signature events called Intergenerational Games, and this one was held at the former Olympic Training Center, which is, I believe, is now called Chula Vista Elite Training Center. And of course, because of the pandemic, we have to hold off on a lot of our signature events. This is a wonderful event that's just not happening in Chula Vista. They're duplicated in other parts of the county. Some are smaller scale, some are bigger, and it's usually partnership with schools or many nonprofit organizations, or for example, the YMCA. We want to make sure that we have a way where we could get our young kids, or some of them are middle school or high school, and get together with are young at heart adults, right? So we have that intergenerational partnership and activities going on. So we want to make sure that we are promoting intergenerational programs to many people, because there's so much to learn from both generations, right? And I know some of our kids that are participating, and they go on a rotational schedule every year when we do this. Some of them, they don't have their grandparents around anymore, or some are too far, they don't see them. But when they go to this type of activities and they see how active our older adults are out there, it changes their whole perception of what aging is, because some of them are former Olympians themselves. And then it's really neat when the curriculum starts, before they meet the older adults in this particular event, they ask them question is, how old is old? And some of them, as you know, kids say the darndest thing, and they'll say, we think 30 is old, or what type of activities older adults do. And some of them will say, they play bingo, all they do is watch TV. So you could see some of their perception. And then they meet them at the actual event, they see the older adults are so active, love to play all kinds of activities, and they're totally blown away, because now they know that a lot of us older adults can stay active and very engaged, and they really enjoy this event. So this is just one of the events I wanted to highlight, but intergenerational programs, partnerships, and fostering all of these relationships between all generations is very important, because we also want to promote social inclusion, and that all ages can go ahead and work together, play together, and stay connected, because it's very important. As Mark mentioned to you, we already are very much concerned and addressing the issue of isolation and loneliness. This is before the pandemic, and imagine during the pandemic, it is a much more challenging times for all of us, because we're concerned and how isolated some of our older adults and family members are experiencing. So the next one is housing. And again, housing, just like transportation, is always going to be a very hot topic for any community, especially with our county. We want to make sure that we can remain in our own home, and that things can be affordable. And we already know how expensive the housing market is here. We're hearing people are having to sell their homes, move somewhere else because it's just too expensive. How can someone maintain their home if things are just going to just be more and more getting expensive, right? How about doing modifications in their homes? And some folks, you know, some family members might choose to have their parents or other relatives that are aging to move in with them. And they might have to do modifications with their home because they have assistive device, making sure they make room for their wheelchairs, walkers, and everything is safe. So we want it affordable, accessible, and we also want to think of ways of how we can be very creative. And now we want to make sure that the accessory dwelling units, they're called ADUs, are another option where folks may have a big yard and they might be able to build a small, like what we call them, casita, or small little home, so they could either rent that to someone else, whether an older adult or a college-age student, or some folks are choosing to rent their main home to a family, and then they choose to stay on the smaller unit that's at the back of their property. And we're trying to make sure that, you know, the process is a lot simpler. So the county is working very hard to make sure that all those documents and red tape are not very overwhelming. So like the permits, applying for a permit, or any fees can be waived to make sure everyone can go ahead and get the ADUs if they're interested in that. We also want to address the issue of homelessness. And as you know, it affects all ages, all ethnic groups. And we do have what you call the SAFE program, which is a program where we get referrals from APS, and then in partnership with an organization, Interfaith Community Services, for example, we're able to get the referral from APS. And then as of January of 2020, I don't have the current data, but the most current data I have is the January 2020. They were able to serve 47 clients that were referred to APS. So these folks are either in the verge of becoming homeless or losing their house or their home. So they were able to get them a place so they could they don't have to be out in the streets and be homeless. So you can just imagine this is a really important type of how we can live and live well and be safe, is to have a home. And we want to make sure that we are addressing and making sure that when there are new things that are being built, that there's enough affordable housing, and that we're not just building just to, make sure that it's expensive. We could get people to live here, but we want to make sure that the people that are already residing here can stay here and can afford their homes or where they want to move. Communication and information is the next one. And as you know, in this day of virtual reality, everything, meetings, we have a lot of different virtual platforms. We're using Zoom today. There's so many different platforms out there. There's TV, radio, newspaper, cell phone, you name it. But we want to make sure that we are being inclusive and understand that some folks have limited with their ability. Someone who's visually impaired, someone who's hard of hearing, someone who may have arthritis, might be harder for them to use some of these devices. So we want to make sure that information is disseminated and shared widely, and that we are actually addressing it to all the different populations with special needs. Civic participation and employment. As you know, we have a lot of mature older adults out there that are still continuing to be part of the workforce. We know lots of our older adults, retirees, love to volunteer their skills or even learn a new skill by maybe someone was a social worker or a nurse from the county, but now they wanted to do something else different. And maybe they want to visit older adults, which is one of our programs in Project Care, which I think some of you may already are familiar through Project Care. Yana, you are not alone. This is through our law enforcement agencies, where they could have senior volunteers that can do, one-on-one, they could do face-to-face visits. But because of the pandemic, you could just imagine we have to be creative. And until we could get this pandemic out of the way and all the restrictions lifted, I know what they're doing now is doing some daily phone call check-in with them, but the in-person one will resume as soon as we are able to get out of, this pandemic, and now everyone else can get vaccinated, and then public health orders will be lifted with the major restrictions. So RSVP, SVA, that's Retired Senior Volunteer Program or Seniors Volunteer in Action. These are just a couple of other programs we have at AIS where we promote volunteerism. And so whether you want to volunteer because, again, you just want to stay connected, you want to provide community service, or sometimes people want to say, I want to work part-time, or I just want an extra income, so that's everyone's choice. So we want people to have those options. And we already know the best volunteers out there are older adults, right? Shows up on time, reliable. And so we want to promote, and there's so much that the young generation can actually learn from our older adults, right? Especially from our retirees. Give them a lot of great advice on, how to have good work ethic, and also how important it is to stay engaged, because we need that social connection and giving back is good for the soul. So I really just encourage a lot of people to look into volunteer opportunities. And even though we have the pandemic, there's so many creative ways people are able to volunteer and give back, because we just want to really do something to contribute to the community. And community support and health services, again, as you know, health services, health insurance, these are always very important factors, especially when you're retiring. I wish I could retire at almost 21 years of service, but as you know, the healthcare insurance is one of my biggest thing that I have to consider, because it's important to have health insurance, and it has to be, it's very expensive if I'm going to just look into like, I'll retire now, but then I have to look at my option of what health insurance is out there available for me. So at 51, I know I still have a ways to go before I could get those other medical benefits, but I know that each community should have affordable health care. We want to make sure that there's enough inpatient and outpatient services, there's clinics, there's urgent cares, as well as they're available for all ages. So we want someone who might be living in Chula Vista, and then why do they have to go see their specialist all the way in La Jolla when there could be someone close by, and they don't have to either drive too far or rely on major transportation service to go all the way to La Jolla, when they could have someone here closer to home. And we do have a lot of wonderful healthcare services organizations out there that are providing and definitely have gone way and beyond serving our communities. So as you know, like San Isidro Health, Family Health Centers of San Diego, La Maestra, we have so many different partners out there that are making sure that we are providing health services to the entire community. And of course, we want to be mindful of the different, the diversity of the communities we serve. So we want to make sure that we are being inclusive and serving everyone and being mindful of their culture and the languages they speak. This one, I always love this slide, because two of the pictures on the top is one of our other signature events. Mark mentioned to you that I'm the South County Action Network, or for short, SoCAN coordinator. And this is one of our longstanding signature events called Dancing for Your Health, or what we call Bailando por su Salud. And this one is a partnership with the City of Chula Vista Recreation Department. And we've had many numerous yearly annual dancing events that took place at Loma Verde Rec Center. And then the very last one we hosted before the pandemic was in 2019, and this at Loma Verde Rec Center, where we allow a lot of our older adults, whether they have adult children, that could come and do an evening of fun dancing. We also help promote donating to San Diego Food Bank. We have a DJ, we have a photo booth, and we have healthy snacks and food, because we want people to enjoy doing social engagement dancing. And we always tell people, you don't have to be a good dancer to go to our events. You don't have to have a partner. You could dance and by yourself or meet new ones. So this is a really fun event. And I know last year when the pandemic hit and everyone else is wondering, are we ever going to have this event again? And we're like, of course, as soon as we get through this pandemic and we could get everyone back to go out and socialize and be in group events again, we want to continue this type of activities. And then you can see the other slide is promoting exercise, healthy exercise. You already know we have a lot of programs in our health promotion program at AIS where we're promoting feeling fit, Tai Chi, meditation, fall prevention. So these are all important key things to consider so we can stay engaged, socially connected, so we can prevent, being sick or suffering from chronic illness or chronic conditions. And it's also, as we do more movement, we have a balanced physical, social life, then we know we feel good, mentally, physically, and we are happier, and we are able to go well with a healthy meal, balanced nutrition, and we're going to have fun. And that's the whole point. They call it the golden years. They should be golden. They shouldn't be sad and lonely and isolation. So we want to make sure we're addressing all of that. This is also the perfect time for me to mention to you that our social participation theme team, which I am a part of, has created 3 different handouts on ways to engage. And we have one specifically for those who are very active. We even created one handout for those who are homebound. And then we also have a specific COVID-19 edition, which I believe Mark will also show to you towards the end before we conclude this Zoom event. So you can get an idea of all the different types of activities and services available out there, how you could remain, or ways to engage even though during the time of COVID, okay? And then we also have a huge Get Connected guide, which is really a compilation of so many other additional resources on how you can stay connected. And everything I'm mentioning to you, I did provide those resources, either a link or a PDF version, and that will be all shared to you in the website. Trying to look at the time, hopefully it's 10:46. Okay, we're doing well. So now I want to switch real quick after we spoke about the domains of livability and how it really connects with the 8 dimensions of well-being. And as you can see, they're all listed there. And now we're going to get through each of them quickly. And then so we could open it up for any questions or any discussion you might want afterwards. So our physical well-being is very important. And we like to use, some of them are stock pictures. Again, we want to promote inclusion. We want to use visuals that are appealing and positive. And you can see here what we use is water exercise, water therapy. It's really important for us to stay physically active. We need to keep moving. Our bodies need to move. And it doesn't have to be major weight lifts, or you don't have to do those strenuous type of exercise or workouts. There's many ways you can stay physically active, and it helps once you get going with a routine with some exercise. Then you will sleep better, and of course you want to make sure you maintain good nutrition, and if you are taking medications, that you are compliant and taking them on time, and of course making sure not mixing them with alcohol, or preventing yourself from making sure that you're not, you might be doing something that you may not be aware of, that maybe you took your medication and then you completely forgot and you went out and have a couple of wine or beer, whatever, and then that could totally mess you up a little bit, or could be fatal. So we want people to understand that you need to be mindful if you are taking medications, to follow all the instructions. And of course, sometimes when you're taking specific medication, you need to have them with food, right? So it doesn't upset your stomach. We also want you to keep up with your routine with your doctors. And of course, during the pandemic, it's important where we're doing a lot of telehealth right now. Because we're still, again, trying to get through this pandemic. And of course, if needed, you're gonna need to go in. For example, my mother, who had a history of stroke a few years ago, now has a heart specialist, and she has to be seen every so often. And so last year, around before the pandemic, she saw her heart specialist or cardiologist. And then the pandemic hit. And then so we were just keeping in contact, and if there's no problems, the doctor said just do a yearly appointment. So it's been a year, so I took her last month for her yearly appointment. But of course, because we're not really able to go in unless we have to, we did a telehealth appointment. So we were on the phone with a cardiologist, and we went over everything. My mom was on the phone with me. And after talking to him, because I did say that my mom had a couple of series of fainting spells, so we decided that she needs additional testing. So a couple of weeks went by, and my mom was already into the whole vaccine, first shot, second shot type of thing. So it just perfectly worked out where after she had her second shot, then she was able to go in for her first testing with her echogram. And then after that, I need to bring her back a couple of weeks coming up now for her additional testing, because they're monitoring her heart to see what's causing that fainting, and also if it might be related to her medications. Because as you already know, sometimes, and I know when I did case management, so many of our older adults have so many medications they're taking, to the point each doctor don't even know why is this being prescribed, and are some of them are counter, again, side effects. So we're trying to rule out everything else to make sure maybe there's a few medications causing that or what. So it's important too to make sure that we try and hopefully no smoking, or if you're still smoking, you're hoping to quit and hopefully stop smoking, because that is another thing that could totally give you a lot of physical chronic conditions as we get older. With the emotional well-being, we are human beings. We are very emotional people. So having relationships is very important to us. And of course, with the pandemic, it really prevented us from doing the physical part of it, right? And social distancing is one thing. When they mention social distancing, 6 feet apart, or you got to stay within your bubble, within your same household. You cannot, mix different households, because again, we want to be safe and prevent any type of, someone could give the COVID to somebody else. And you already know, you've seen so many different news coverage about how some people did not know they end up giving COVID, and then some ended up dying from that. Can you just imagine the guilt and the trauma the family or that group will always remember because of that specific choice they made. So we want to make sure that we will stay in contact with our friends and family. It could be long distance, and now with all this virtual type of things, Facebook, FaceTime, Zoom, people can still see each other. I know it's not physical, but it's better than nothing, right? And we want people to be creative. Like I said here, it says here, join support groups, walking club. What about having a book club, a virtual book club discussion meeting, right? Once a month. And sometimes I joined a book club and I didn't have time to read the book, but they said you could still join and you could just watch or chime in with the discussion. So which is great. We want people to be creative, where maybe write letters. I know, like second half of last year, it's easy to call, email, text someone, but I made a choice like twice a week for like 2 months in a row. I started writing just handwritten letters to people I know, some former retiree friends that I don't get to see, or some friends that I know, they can't get out much. So when they give me a call back or say, I can't believe I got a handwritten letter from you. It's been a while since someone has done that. So you can be very creative. And again, it's for those who have loved ones, family members who are in skilled nursing facilities, phone calls are very important. And I know as we keep, lifting the restrictions, we could start visiting and going to the facilities again. But until that time comes, you could always give them a call, phone call, and check in with them, because it's really important for them to hear from their loved ones, because it's very hard for them dealing with this pandemic and they're already in a facility. Social well-being, a lot of this is very much, self-explanatory. kind of mentions about how we are social beings, right? We can have long distance family members, caregivers, friends, another country, another state, but we always want to maintain those relationships. This is the time I'd like to really highlight and focus on what SoCAN's primary focus now. Since the pandemic started, we needed to switch gears and we couldn't have our signature events like the one I mentioned to you, the Intergenerational Games, the Dancing for Your Health, for example. So we focused on how can we address isolation and loneliness during the time of the pandemic and beyond. So our group focused on seeking a grant through CCDC, Community Congregational Development Corporation. And it was a great opportunity where our committee joined forces in SoCAN and said, why don't we try to write a grant and see if we could get the funding where we can provide iPads to our older adults. And as you know, some of our older adults may not be open to technology, or they need more help and one-on-one or instructions on how to navigate the iPad. So we were able to put together a grant, and it was fully funded last year. And we have a couple of affordable senior housing sites in Chula Vista, and they're participating for this pilot program where we provided demo info sessions, and of course following all the COVID protocols, safety protocols, and we have a great turnout. So we only had originally asked for 20 iPads because, as you know, they're expensive. This is a pilot program. And we had overwhelming over 60 older adults at both sites that actually wanted it. So we are now in the implementation process. Each site now has their seniors. They've been given their iPads and learning the how to navigate the iPads, and we have a contracted technology program company that's assisting them one-on-one virtually, and also practicing social distancing outside the site. They would have a courtyard and they would do some demo sessions. And then now we're also in the time where we're recruiting volunteers. Originally, as we wanted to do intergenerational programming, we were hoping to get a lot of college age students to provide the volunteer technology opportunity for our older residents. But we are in need of more volunteers. So we are opening it up with anyone who's 18 and up. So if you're a retiree, you're interested on helping with this SoCAN Tech program for seniors, let me know. My information will be listed at the end of this presentation if you would like to volunteer for this program. It's a 6-month program. And the nice thing is after they complete the 6-month program, they get to keep the iPad for free. So they can continue using technology and learning all the different features. One person never done FaceTime, and when we tried showing them how to do FaceTime to see their family members, they were just so happy. And another person who spoke fluent Spanish and did not understand what's going on when we're doing the demo session, but we played Spanish music, and he right away recognized the band and started dancing in the courtyard and singing along with the words. So it's unbelievable on how you could really get someone interested and engaged just by giving them different options. So I provided the volunteer recruitment flyer to Mark as well. So if you have family members or college age family relatives interested, we would like to go ahead and get them connected, and hopefully they'd like to volunteer for this program. I'm going to try to wrap it up because I'm looking at the time. And the next dimension of well-being is occupational. Like I mentioned to you before, many of us would like to always get involved. We want to have meaning and purpose in life. and we want to keep our mind and body active, right? We want to stay engaged. This is not just for personal satisfaction, but it's just giving back. We also highlighted some key importance of why volunteerism is important. I know the data in this slide is back in 2015. The purpose is just to give you an idea that so many adults, older adults out there, and any adults volunteering. And when you put all those hours they put in and how it translates in dollars, you could just imagine how much difference our volunteers provide, especially when it comes to budget cuts and organizations relying heavily on volunteers. Imagine home delivered meals program, right? They need constant volunteer drivers and people to deliver meals. So it's important for us to find ways on how we could give back. And again, it's always good to learn something new anyways, right? So when you're volunteering, you may be not familiar with it, and then once you get going, now you're an expert, and now you look forward to going to that type of volunteer activity. So we just really want people to understand that there's just so many options out there for all of us. And as we keep moving on with the intellectual part of well-being, there's so many different ways you can get involved, stay active. As you know, Oasis San Diego provides a lot of virtual educational series. I get the newsletter. I signed up for that. You could always learn a new language, right? And if you're not familiar with the state tuition waivers through colleges and universities, this is something you could look into where you can apply or interested in a class, right? You can get it just for credit, and they will waive your application and your tuition and other related fees as long as you're 60 and up. So this is something you might look into if you're interested. Also, the Sdsu College of Extended Studies, if you haven't heard, the Osher Lifelong Learning is a wonderful, again, program that they offer. I actually took some classes myself, and then I believe next month they have a couple of virtual events highlighting KPBS and San Diego Zoo celebrating their 50 years. So just pursuing your personal interests is really important. It's never too late to learn something, right? Financial, this is a big one. We want to make sure as your retirees, right, you put away all this wonderful pension assets because you want to make sure you're comfortable, you can afford any type of expense that may come up, or you would like to save it for travel. I know we're starting to book travels now and trips. So again, we want you to be able to use all of this wonderful financial money that you put away for you, but you want to stay away of scams and fraud, as well as being financially exploited. So we want to just mention to you that when it comes to adult protective services, the highest type of abuse that we deal with is financial abuse. And it's unfortunate most of our perpetrators are related to the victim or family members. I'm not saying we're all going to be financially exploited by our family members, but because a lot of people know that retirees, older adults have pension, they have benefits, that could be something that they're looking into to exploit you. So be careful and learn about, you know, what programs are out there that can help you, protect you, and advocate for you. And for those who have very limited income, we always want you to take advantage of programs specifically to assist our older adults. CalFresh, for example, is it's called CalFresh now, but this is the old name is food stamps. So during the pandemic and now the pandemic, people that are getting the CalFresh, they were able to get the maximum amount, and they get additional food assistance if they meet the criteria. And then when it comes to home repairs, we have wonderful nonprofit organizations, for example, like Jewish Family Services with the Fix It program that can assist with modification, maybe building a ramp or putting grab bars in your showers And again, just helping making sure that your home is safety, and it's nothing like a major home repair, but look into other programs that are available out there. So budgeting is important, making sure we're not in debt, right? Getting rid of our debt, and, you know, making sure we're watching our purchases, because I know with this virtual everything, we're trying to get everything delivered. You don't want to, especially last year when this pandemic hit us, the first few months, we're not wanting to go in public and get groceries, and we want to make sure that we're being careful and your financial information is protected. And lastly, make sure you get all of your affairs in order. I've listed here Advanced Healthcare Directive, your power attorneys, wills and trust. You want to make sure you give peace of mind to your loved ones, so it's important. So you could always modify your documents and make changes as you know, every so often. What we recommend sometimes is review it every 10 years or sooner. We're almost done. This one is just a slide that talks about how we have, you know, a lot of people have financial insecurities, and what happens to that is food insecurities as well, right? So sometimes they don't have enough to purchase even their essential needs. So it's really important for us to be mindful. In order to age well, we need to have finances that we can rely on in order for us to afford living in San Diego, and also finding balance and planning travel, or, you know, just enjoying anything you want to do with your loved ones or your family members, and giving away some of your finances to your grandchildren or buying them something, that is up to you. But we want to make sure you're financially savvy as well. And with the environmental part of it, like I already mentioned to you, it's a broken record. We have a wonderful county that offers so many different parks, museums, library, beaches. Hopefully some of you are already aware that I believe it's every first Tuesdays of the month, like the museums at Balboa Park, you could get in for free, or some are discounted. And so take advantage of that. Our libraries have so much to offer. You could do online, you could do mail through the libraries, or pick up curbside. There's just so many different ways you could do with all the different types they offer, city or county libraries. You could get movies as well. Maybe you're from East County and you want to just, I'd like to go more in the beach area. So you might want to just every so often, once a month or twice a month, you like to go look at all the different experience walking in Encinitas, or maybe Del Mar, the beaches there, just to kind of have a change of scenery, right? Or just getting some fresh air and some sun out there. And spiritual, this one is just not to say you have to have a certain faith or practice a certain religion. This is more like your whole spiritual side. It's more the holistic side of it. It's all personal choices. And, you know, sometimes people will just say, I'm relying heavily on meditation right now just to get through the day, or breathing exercises, and just really trying to make sure that you're taking the time to really focus on yourself, because it's important. And some people, now that churches are allowed to have indoor services with still limited capacity, I'm sure a lot of people are happy to hear that, and a lot of them are offering outdoor services, so that is very important to them. So we want to make sure that there's always balance in everything. Okay, I'm almost done. This is just something I already mentioned to you, benefits to an active lifestyle. I really just want to highlight the dementia-friendly toolkit that I also shared with Mark and Andrew. You will have access to that. We also want to promote a lot of dementia-friendly resources and handouts, and also the Healthy Brain Initiative through the Alzheimer's Project.org is available if you want to learn more about that, because as you know, we may be dealing with that on a personal level, whether we're caregivers, we have family members or friends that are diagnosed with Alzheimer's and other related dementias. You need as much resources and information so you can cope with this disease, and as well as provide as much information and resources, and you could share with everyone. And this is just on my plate for older adults, which is what's recommended. What you should be eating after a certain age. We know we can't eat French fries every day back when we were younger, and we have fast metabolism, so we want to have a healthy, balanced meal. And I tell people all the time when I did case management, snacking might be easier for someone instead of 3 major meals. And sometimes, you know, I know some of my older adult relatives, they prefer smaller meals, and they don't even have 3 meals a day. They prefer snacking and just trying to eat every 3 hours or so. It doesn't have to be a heavy meal. So having a balanced diet, and at the same time, most important, as we get to the warmer months, we want to stay hydrated because it's important for us to have plenty of fluids so we could avoid heat stroke. You know, and I know my mom is guilty of this. She doesn't like it when I use her as an example, but she always tells us, always drink your water, but she herself is not a big water drinker herself. So, and part of that, I think that's why she's fainting, is she's not staying hydrated. So let's make sure we have a balanced diet and always keep hydrated. And just other activities to consider. I'm sure you already have all kinds of different things you're doing, and always figuring out what new hobby you could learn. I always tell people, always use that brain to make it think, make it work harder. So crossword puzzles, Sudoku, reciting the alphabet backwards, right? And using a lot of brain games, making you think, is very important. And I mentioned a lot of this already. There's laughter yoga, again, cooking, gardening, you name it. You could come up with all kinds of great hobbies and new craft if you just want to be open to it. And these are just all additional resources. And lastly, this is a quote that I actually attended a conference, and NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness, actually had this quote, and I just wanted to end my presentation by saying, when I is replaced by we, even illness can become wellness. And then the last ones are acknowledgments and references. And very, very last slide is my email and my direct number at the office, which, you know, most of us are still telecommuting. But if you ever would like to get more information about the SoCAN Tech program for seniors, or if you're interested about maybe volunteering, or someone might be interested in volunteering, let them know, send them my way. And I believe the flyer will be available, and Mark will be posting that in the website as well. So that is the end of my presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'd like to turn it over to Mark. I know I went a little bit over. I apologize, but hopefully it's not too bad.
No worries. It's a wealth of information. But you know what? Why don't you, can you bring your contact information screen back up? Let me see. And we'll go through, we just have a couple questions, and that way people can still see that.
Let me go ahead and share my screen again and put my contact. And let's see, can you see my contact? Okay.
Yes. It's a little,
you want me to make it bigger?
It's not, yeah, if you don't mind. Maybe if you could put it back in slideshow. If not, I could still see it. If other folks can too, we'll have it there where we ask a couple questions of you.
Hold on. Backspace. I could also type it in the chat box.
Oh, you know what? If you want to stop sharing, I have a PowerPoint copy of your presentation.
Okay, sounds good. Did I stop sharing? Okay.
Yes, I'm going to share that now while we ask the questions. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Anabel. A very comprehensive, and I mean, it's amazing to me how many resources are out there for aging populations, and the county is certainly the leader in that arena. And once we get done with the questions, I'm also going to share the screen of our webpage where we've posted information, how it's a couple clicks to get there to the information that you recently shared, which we greatly appreciate, but an outstanding presentation. And so I have two questions.
Okay.
The first question is there help for people like my brother who is on SSI who owns his mobile home, but the space rent goes up every year far more than the SSI COLA, and he may lose his home because of this.
You know, that is not the first time I've heard of that specific concern. So if that particular person would like to just give me a little bit more information, since they could contact me through email and I could try to problem solve. What I would always say, Mark, because as you know, I provided you our AIS website information as well, and our hotline call center, even though it's a 24-hour hotline for making reports to Adult Protective Services, the 1-800-339-4661 number, that's our AIS hotline number, is also information and assistance. And when it comes to any age-related concerns, issues, for example, we have social workers on the hotline that could help problem solve and connect them to the most appropriate organizations and resources that they need to get a hold of because of that specific issue. They have more access to a larger database than I do because they are call center staff. So that's one first thing I would look into. And then when it comes to, because this has to do with their mobile home park, right? I would look into talking and connecting with like getting legal service advice, right? So Elder Law and Advocacy is another good nonprofit agency, that Legal Aid Society. Those are some of the key numbers and names I could actually go ahead and recommend at this point on how to move forward with that, because this is not the first time I've heard that, because when we were doing a lot of food follow-up distribution costs to our homebound seniors last year, a couple of them actually did mention that to me about how they're struggling with housing issues like that particular example.
Great, thank you very much. The next question is there still a directory of assisted living places? I have a friend who will be looking for a place for her husband. Library branches used to have a directory they handed out.
Oh, I remember that specific guide. I think it's called Lifestyles. It's a little handbook that comes out quarterly. What I would say is if our call centers still get that, they can mail it to you, but as right now we're telecommuting, right? I don't know if there's a specific website where they could give you a link and you could look into that. But you said, is it assisted living facilities?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be the actual like skilled nursing, right? Just assisted living, right? I would say, yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just saying that's the way it was worded, assisted living places.
So I would say a great resource is Choose Well, San Diego. And this is a wonderful contracted, and we have partnered with them where they will actually, they have this information of vetted assisted living facilities that's gone through the vetting process. And basically they could tell you their rating, because to me, it's great that if people, there you go, Choose Well. If they're already listed in this Choose Well website, then they've gone through the vetting process, they've been rated. And to me, why go somewhere when this place has not been vetted? Or what do they have? What are they hiding? How come they don't want to be part of this Choose Well website, right? Because this is a great resource, and I really want people to look into this. And actually, just as on a side note, the person that's working closely with Choose Well San Diego, I know him very well, very great person. And on the side, he's working on a tech program, and they're also the ones providing the technology program coordination for that tech program for seniors that we're doing in SoCAN. So Choose Well is a wonderful program that I would really want to recommend people to look into. And then for that specific guide your member mentioned, it's called, if they still have it, and if it's still in existence, it's called Lifestyles. It's a small booklet that actually categorizes assisted living, skilled nursing, convalescent rehabs places, but I don't know at this point if it's in existence or if it's available PDF version online, because right now our call center staff are also telecommuting, and I don't know if we have the most current version right now. But we used to mail those to people that actually asked for it.
Yeah, that's a great website. We refer out to that as well. And there's always a process where other facilities are added. As they go through the vetting process, they just keep building up their database with options for folks. Okay, so that's it with the questions. I'm going to actually now share something else. Give me a minute here. So Anabel has mentioned a couple of times about information that she shared with us that we were very happy to post on our website. So I'm going to show you how you can get there. It's a quick, easy couple of clicks. This is the RESDC homepage, and just as a reminder, we have a lot of great information, and we link out to the county website regarding COVID-19 information. So that's right at the top of our page. But under resources, you click on resources. And there's a lot of different sections that we have, the way that this page is built. Thanks to Andrew, he reformatted this page. It's easy to navigate. Retirement, government, healthcare and insurance, financial, legal services, senior programs and volunteers, senior programs and services and volunteer. We may not have everything, but we keep, our key is to continue to add to it. So for the information specific to what Anabel shared, you just click on government. And then the county is really what comes up. The County of San Diego, SECO, which is the County Employees Charitable Organization. It's a great organization that we highly recommend you look into and donate to if you have the resources to share. Health and Human Services Agency, Aging and Independent Services, a lot of the programs that she talked about, Anabel talked about. And then here's the links that she mentioned. So I'll show you them, and then you can actually access them really quick as well. So this is the COVID-19 programs, services, and resources, older adults and adults living with disabilities. Once again, just a wealth of information with regards to COVID-19 vaccine information. It'll bring you right down to that, scheduling appointments, proof of eligibility, and so on. So great resources, outreach and education videos. So that's there for you as well. The flyer, which is a flyer related to COVID-19 vaccinations for eligible high-risk medical conditions and disabilities. Another link that she sent was the ways to engage, which we spoke about. It's a great flyer that is a COVID-19 edition. And all of these flyers, you go to the flyer and you can click on it and link out to specific resources, whether it's regarding county libraries, city libraries, AIS, health promotion programs, Live Well at Home, Lifetime Connections Without Walls, San Diego Oasis. So as you can see, just a wealth of resources. The next one is Getting Connected Guide. And this goes into a lot of great detail about the entire guide here that you can download it in English and Spanish. You can learn more about Live Well at Home, which is a web page dedicated to something that Anabel covered in her presentation. So all of this is at your fingertips and can access Get Well, ways to engage. Dementia Friendly Toolkit, which is also something that Anabel covered. COVID-19 information, and then, like I said, all of the different information that she covered that then also gives you the opportunity to, I believe there's some links on here too. I mean, it's just great information, specific activity ideas, music activity. So just to really recommend checking that out. And then the Ridewell Transportation Guide, which has actually been updated. It's a COVID-19 special edition, once again covered by Anabel. Goes over all of the regions covering transportation assistance. Fact San Diego, we've actually had them present at a past membership meeting when we could actually meet in person. Remember those days? But we will again soon, hopefully. Like Anabel said, we just need to hang in there a little bit more and hopefully get back to whatever the new normal is going to be and have some great in-person events. So that information is there. Actually, Anabel, I had one more question.
Yes.
Are you okay with us sharing the PowerPoint that you shared, which is a PDF, with anybody interested in
Yes.
seeing that? Because you had some great links on there as well.
Yes, please do, because I really just want people to get more familiar with the 8 domains of livability. And then, as you know, I tied it in with all the different programs, resources towards the end, because there's a lot of information out there, and sometimes it could be overwhelming, and you just got to go back and reread it again. And you never know, someone you know might not be aware of CalFresh. And that's one of the things that I keep telling people. If you're eligible, this is money you put in when you were working. You paid taxes before.
Yeah.
So please use it, because if it's not being used, then why? Because this is additional food assistance that you can get, especially with the pandemic. I have a couple of older retired friends that are eligible, and they feel like, well, I don't want to take it from someone who needs it. They could use it, but they think they're taking it away. And I
Absolutely.
said, no, but this is you. You're not taking advantage of the system. This is for you. It's a program for you. And I already provided the link on how to apply easily, because you can even apply on the phone with 211. And I know 211 is very busy right now, but
Yeah.
you can even do it over the phone. And sometimes people say, I don't want to do all the paperwork. It's too much. We made it easier, but we just can't get some people to apply. And some people are like, I want to apply. And then someone said, oh my gosh, during the height of the pandemic, they actually maximized my CalFresh, and they were getting the maximum, even though they were just getting maybe $40. But then because of the pandemic, they got like $194. I mean, that's really a huge difference. So we want people to really understand these programs are created for you. You're not doing anything wrong, milking the system. We just want you to feel comfortable that when that time comes and you're eligible, use it, because it's there for you. You know, you paid for these
Absolutely.
programs.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's your taxpayer dollars at work.
correct. And this
And
is your taxpayers' dollar at work. We're doing all this educational
yeah.
trainings for free. And one thing I'd like to highlight, I appreciate you, Mark, going through all the different links and showing everyone how to find the resources. Those outreach and education videos, there's one specific on scams, COVID-19 scams.
Hmm.
And if you want to go back in there and look, I went over quite a bit. We had to compressed it to, like, I don't know, 12 minutes, but I covered a lot. And as you know, scams are always going to change, or new ones will come up. But if you want to get familiar with that, you could certainly go back and look at our YouTube videos that we have uploaded in our AIS website.
Yeah, I think that's on this web.
I think it's in the main AIS website. You will
Oh, the first
see
one. The
the
first
first
one.
one, which is outreach and education videos. I think you scroll down. I thought it was in here. Do you want to scroll up again?
Yeah, I thought it was too.
We saw it here, unless it's,
There it is.
there it is. Yes.
Yeah, and it's similar
And
to our
there's the
YouTube page
COVID-19
where you just have
scams.
some great,
Yes.
yep,
Mental
great
health.
resources.
Yeah. And then ways to engage is in there too. So it's just a cute, simple, quick video. The scams was the longest one. It's 12 minutes because, goodness, scams is a lot to cover.
Yeah.
But some of them are less than 10 minutes, and it's just nice to go back and see what we've created, because we had to switch all to videos at this point, because I miss going out to meet my seniors in person. But right now we're still limited, but we want to get back out there in the community.
Hopefully
for sure.
soon. Hopefully
Yes,
soon.
hopefully sooner than later, but we just have to just wait a little bit longer.
That's right.
Right?
Yep. So
Okay.
if you would like, for those of you left on the call, if you would like to receive the PowerPoint presentation, real easy, just send an email to RESDC, RESDC @resdec.net. And we will forward it on to you. And like I said, there's a lot of great information in there in terms of what Anabel shared, and also some links to additional information. So with that, Anabel, I want to thank you again. We're so grateful to have you present, and we look forward to your next presentation down the road. And Matthew will be back, and folks will get to meet Hazel early in May. So that's another presentation we have in early May 4th that Hazel Quinones from one of Anabel's partners at the county will be doing a presentation. I believe it's on mental health, I think.
Yeah, and actually, Mark, it's perfect timing for you, as I mentioned when we were planning this, because May is Older Americans Month, and May is Mental Health Month. So actually, we have, I might forward an email to you about mental health. May is Mental Health Month because there's some good information. So I'll send you an email on that as well.
Thank you. And don't worry, folks, that information will on both the presentation that Stan mentioned from the chief pharmacist at the county, Dr. Doe, will be in the newsletter. It'll be blasted out via email. So you'll be able to see promotional highlights of what's going to be coming your way over the next couple of months. So with that, I'm going to end the meeting. I want to thank everybody again for their attendance and participation. And Anabel, you did an outstanding job, and we thank you again. And with that, I'm going to end the meeting. And everybody have a great day and stay safe out there.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And get your vaccine and just
That's right.
Stay safe out there.
That's right. Bye-bye,
okay,
everybody.
Bye-bye.